The war in Iran is entering week 7 with peace talks breaking down and U.S. warships set to block oil from leaving the Strait of Hormuz. The Pope has spoken out against this war, and you know who apparently isn't happy about it. Take a look.
We don't like a Pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a Pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. No, I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
I have no fear of neither the Trump administration nor speaking out loudly about the message of the gospel. And that's what I believe. I am called to do what the church is called to do. We're not politicians. We're not looking to make foreign policy, as he calls it, with the same perspective that he might understand it. But I do believe that the message of the gospel, blessed are the peacemakers, is the message that the world needs to hear today.
And because some people just don't know how to leave well enough alone, you know? He didn't burst into flame, but last night, you know who posted an image of himself. I can't even look at it.
Yeah.
I'm just so... There's no answer to the question I'm supposed to ask, but what are your thoughts?
25th Amendment. I think our founding fathers did a lot of things right, and the 25th Amendment is there for a reason. No one that holds that office, which is arguably the most powerful office in the world, does things like that. You know, the Pope answers to the...
Can you take that down, please?
Yeah, it's
just take it down.
In the Christian faith, this is considered blasphemy.
It's
depicting
blasphemous.
yourself as Christ,
Blasphemous.
elevating yourself to the level of Christ. I did see some very prominent MAGA supporters who are diehards even saying as much and saying, please take this down. And to declare kind of an open season on the Pope, the leader of the largest faith in the United States,
1.4 billion
the most charitable
Catholics.
faith, and one that also makes up a big portion of Trump's base, makes no sense to me because this happens as he's bleeding MAGA supporters for the war in Iran. He's also offending our faith, and it signals to me that he doesn't understand. I don't think he claims to be a person of faith. Our faith is bigger than our politics. That is the one thing that will always trump politics for people who are practicing in their faith. He clearly doesn't understand that. He sees it as meme-worthy, as funny, as something to be mocked, and God is not to be mocked.
You know, I think, I do think he claims to be a person of faith. Remember, he, sells Bibles. God help you if you're praying on that Bible. But I also think this is a distraction.
Yes.
This is a distraction because he's having a really bad week, a really bad month. Well, I'll tell you what.
Yes.
His disapproval ratings are at 61%. Gas price in New York at $6. The stock market in complete chaos. His wife showing up for a random statement on Jeffrey Epstein.
That's a whole other conversation.
His European bestie, Viktor Orban, that autocrat, he lost in a landslide yesterday. And the Iran deal, the Iran peace talks fell apart. And people are pissed because while all of that was happening, he was in Miami watching a UFC fight, disrupting the airport, disrupting traffic, and costing taxpayers millions of dollars.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Pope.
Well, I also think the Pope handled that so well. To be asked with no flappable disposition change, he said, I am not a politician. I am not here to get into a debate. And he said, I have no fear of this administration.
He answers to God.
He answers
That's
to a higher
why.
parent, and he's a man of the gospel. And if you're looking, like I say, definitely don't go to RFK Jr. for medical advice. Don't go to Trump as your moral authority.
Right.
But I am grateful we live in a country that, as blasphemous as that is, no one will die as a result.
Yeah.
Because there are places that image alone could end up with someone dead. So I am grateful that I live in a country where, as offensive as that is, that we have the freedom to do that. I disagree completely. But I also would say that the Pope handled Trump the way Trump needs to be handled. He did not get rattled. He did not get wrangled in. He knew his direction, and it is to a higher power.
I also just love that we have a pope with a strong Chicago accent. Like, I get that every time he speaks. I'm like, oh.
I love that we have a pope who's American and showing a different face of America to the world.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Listen, this is not surprising. He is who he is. This is not a shock, shouldn't be shocking to anybody. He has said and done things that make your jaw drop. You know who he is. I mean, let's not kid each other. We know who he is. We know what he stands for, and we know what he believes you all believe. He believes that you don't care, that you're not paying attention, and that what he's doing is fine. And I believe that during the midterms, a big old surprise is going to happen, not for anybody else but him, because America is not the America he thinks it is. We're just not that. We're not going to let this go on as long as it went on with Viktor Orban. People are starting to say, you know what? Now we remember what this was like. We don't know. We don't want this. We don't like this. We've never experienced this before as a country. We've never had this kind of groove. So we're going through it, and we are one of the few countries that can change because we have elections. We can make the changes we need to see. It's in our hands now. This is all the rest of this is distraction for a whole bunch of other stuff. But what we need to keep our eye on is what you need for your family, how to take care of your family, what you need for yourself, how to keep yourself from freaking out. Because this guy will have you like this if you let him. But you don't have to let him.